You're listening to the Baumbastic Podcast with Andrew Ellis on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Baumbastic Podcast presented by Inside Arkansas and hosted by Andrew Ellis. I'm coming to you at about 10:30 p.m. on Friday night. At least that's when I'm recording this. Who knows whenever I'll finish this and whenever I'll be able to get it out. I'm coming to you after a very, very long 10-hour day at Baum-Walker Stadium where Arkansas and A&M split a doubleheader, which may not sound like a big deal when you put it in that context. And that's what we're going to talk about. Of course, Arkansas dropping the series finale, dropping the series overall. They suffered their second straight SEC series loss. Arkansas has now lost 4 of their last 5 SEC games, which is a little bit tough. Arkansas has now, like I said, dropped back-to-back series and suffered their first series loss at home. We're going to talk about it all, at least the 2 games specifically that happened today, as well as just kind of other takeaways and thoughts on individual performances. There's a lot to get into. Like I said, it was a long day at Baum. There was a lightning delay in the middle of it. Great crowd. I want to shout out to all the fans who showed up at Baum, of which there were many. Got to talk to a lot of fans and, kind of check the temperature of the fan base, which varied a little bit, of course, especially during that series finale as things were starting to slip away. Had some weather, which kind of was fitting for the way that it was ending. Like I said, we're going to get into all of it, so strap in with me. We got a lot to unpack, and like I said, we're going to go through both games, and the first one was a lot cooler. But of course, we've got some unfortunate news to report, some tough things to talk about, and honestly, just an assessment of where this team is at. In and of itself, losing a series to A&M, who, by the way, came into this game scorching hot, came into this series on, I believe it was a 7-game win streak, which grew to 8 yesterday. They had won their last 5 SEC games coming into this. They're scorching hot now. Like, they're certainly a team to watch. They could be joining the top 25 again very soon. Of course, preseason number 1. And so I think that's a big part of this weekend that we're going to have to talk about and sort of digest and process. And the Razorbacks are clearly not playing their best baseball. And so seeing your team lose out there at home is something that we really are not accustomed to with this Razorback baseball program. Even in down years, they usually do a pretty good job at home. And so to see them drop this series is a little bit of I want to use the term reality check. I'm going to try to not be too dramatic over here, but it's certainly a crossroads point in the season for this team where, you started off strong, you get to number 1 in the polls. We talked about, hey, how's Arkansas going to handle that? I didn't think that would honestly be too big of a deal. I don't think their struggles these last couple of weeks are because they got too tight because of the number 1 overall seed. I also don't think it's going to bother this Razorback team too much that we talk about their struggles and that a lot of fans are starting to lose some faith. And there are a lot of questions surrounding the program. And like I said, we're going to get into all of them and we're going to kind of talk about some of those potential answers for those questions. But make no mistake, man, this is an adversity point for this Razorback baseball team. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to this. And again, we're going to talk about everything that happened in these 2 games, as well as some developments that can give us a little bit of a key to the future that can point kind of a path for this Razorback baseball team as they attempt to claw their way out of this wretched hole they're in at 13-5 in the SEC. We'll see how far they fall in the polls. My guess is 5-6 range, somewhere in that ballpark. But before we get started in the series or in the game recaps here, I want to remind you guys that we are brought to you by Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. We had a great time, me, Curtis, John, at Alumni Hall today. We had a bunch of fans come by, give us the fist bump. We were handing out some stuff, entered a raffle for a Ben Bybee signed baseball, which, by the way, Ben Bybee pitched pretty well today. We had a great time. Shout out to Miss Stephanie. We always have such a good time. They're so good to us at Alumni Hall. And we had a lot of success. A lot of people were, the vibes were good then. This Woo Pick weekend was just getting started. And this is, of course, before the 2 games. And we really appreciate them for hosting us. Really appreciate everybody that came out. And you got to join those guys. All the cool kids are getting stuff from Alumni Hall. You can check them out in person at 3417 North College Avenue in Fayetteville by the Whole Foods, or you can visit them online, insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. Promo code HOGSBY20. You can use it online or in the store. We'll get you 20% off your purchase. And that's where you can also enter the cool little Ben Bybee raffle thing. So check those guys out. They're so good to us. We appreciate them for hosting us today and launching us into this Woo Pig weekend with a smile on our faces. We really do appreciate them. They're awesome. Their clothes are awesome. Go check them out. The standard in Razorback merchandise. And now we go on to the game recaps. I do want to remind you guys, the first game was very good. So as bleak as things may seem, and as depressed as I may sound as I'm talking about all this, because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a little bit bummed out. I'm a little bit disappointed with the way this series played out. The way this Razorback team is kind of playing right now. They're not playing their best baseball. We know they're capable of more. And so I hope I don't sound like too downtrodden over here or anything. But like I was saying, as bad as things may seem, mere hours ago, they really took it to a pretty good A&M team. I thought they responded really well, came out swinging in game 2 of this series, and ended up getting an 11-5 win in the opener. Let's take a look at that box score real quick before we go into the play-by-play recap and how all the scoring went down. You see 5 hits from the top 2 hitters there. Charles Davalon continues to be good. He was very good in game 2 as well. Vahiva Aloy started his day 3 for 3. The 2 outs he had was like a 395-foot line drive to center field. And then I believe he hit a ball hard somewhere else. I can't remember. Maybe it was a line out, something like that. Guy was just locked in today. Hit a 448-foot home run to left field, 113 miles an hour. Really good stuff. The lineup, by the way, you see, I'm going through the names here. There was a strong reaction to the lineup when it was announced. It was a little bit of a chaotic one. You see Carson Bowles in the 3 spot in right field for Logan Maxwell, who did come into this game and pinch hit. Rocco Pepe gets to start at first base. First time we had seen him in a while. Wound up only getting 2 ABs in this first game. Got hit by a pitch and then flew out to shallow right field. And then, of course, Reese Robinette comes in for him afterwards, made a really nice play defensively. Brent Iredale all the way down there in the 7th spot. Ryder Helfrich behind him, or I guess 6th spot for Iredale there. Justin Thomas Jr., who was the hero of this game, starts in center field, hits 2 home runs. Really good stuff from him. It was just kind of a unique lineup that Arkansas had. Like just having Kojal all the way down there. It just kind of looked unique. And, of course, you had Gage Wood on the bump, which was exciting. We all knew all eyes were going to be on Gage Wood and his start, but we also knew it wasn't going to be that long of one. We thought maybe an inning, wound up being exactly 20 pitches, 17 of which were fastballs. Did not go well for him. A&M kind of ambushed Gage Wood a little bit, if I'm being honest with you. So we'll just start right there in our recap of this series, or this game. All 4, so I guess 4 of A&M's 5 runs in this game came in the first 2 innings of the game. 3 of which came in the top of the first. So again, Arkansas loses yesterday. These bad vibes that we have now kind of lingering from last night because it was a disappointing loss. And Gage Wood comes out, and velocity, by the way, really good. And I say that I understand there's more to pitching than velocity. And of course, made some mistakes. They got hammered, ends up walking the leadoff guy on about, I think it was 5 pitches. And then ends up giving up a 2-run home run to Jace LaViolette, who really is just a hog killer. I mean, he killed Arkansas all weekend. I think he finished with 4 home runs, was just a menace. I really am not interested in seeing that guy at the plate against my baseball team anytime soon. Am not going to miss him. So right off the bat, it's 2-0. So Gage Wood, it's been, 2 months since you've pitched. You're kind of getting thrust back in here. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. Boom, 2-0 deficit right out the gate. Comes back, gets, I believe, a strikeout. And then ends up giving up a double off the bat of Wyatt Hensler, who also killed Arkansas all weekend. Ends up giving up like a less well-hit base hit up the middle that basically puts runners on first and third. And that's when Arkansas went to Ben Bybee. Bybee, who I thought did a really good job settling this game down. You see his final line there. Ends up going 3 innings, gives up 3 hits, gives up 1 run, which the one that was charged to him came in the 2nd inning when he gave up a solo home run. Did give up a 0-2 base hit that drove in the 3rd run on Gage Wood. But I thought Ben Bybee did his job for the most part. Came into a tough spot with 1 out. Ends up doing a pretty good job. Gets 2 punch outs in that first inning. Arkansas started the game with just some really, really good at-bats at the plate. I believe it was 6 straight quality at-bats. So you have a Charles Davalon double in the gap to left field. Gets in a hitter's count, 3-1. Really good swing on a heater. And then Vahiva Aloy singles to center field. Probably the softest hit ball of the day for Vahiva Aloy is probably like 85 miles an hour to center field. Just kind of blooped right in there. They were playing pretty deep on him on the outfield. So that moves Charles Davalon to third base. And then Carson Bowles just barrels up a baseball to left field, or kind of center field, pretty deep center field. Ends up going down as a sac fly. So that's 3 straight quality at-bats. Kahio Aloy, first pitch he sees, rips it through the left side for a base hit. Really good swing, barreled up that one. That's another quality at-bat. Rocco Pepe sees 1 pitch, then gets hit by a pitch. We're going to count that as a quality at-bat. And then Brent Iredale with a really important one. He's a guy that everyone's been kind of asking about, when is Arkansas going to get him going? I don't think it's going to be a big storyline coming out of a series loss for Arkansas, but they did start to see some signs of life from Brent Iredale today. So good to see him swing it well in the doubleheader. Also played some pretty good defense. He got it going here. So he ends up getting a 2-2 pitch that he lines to left field, kind of in the gap, and it's caught for a fly out. Ends up getting the job done as a sac fly with the bases loaded and making it a 3-2 game. But he had to really battle, fouled off a few pitches, maybe even got a little bit bailed out because I think he hit one behind home plate and the first baseman and catcher couldn't quite get to it. Thought that might be one that they can get him out on. Ends up fouling off a couple more and lining one to left field. I thought that was important just to get him some confidence, kind of get him back in the flow of things. And he wound up having a few base hits in this. He ended up having a double later in this game and had a couple hits in the series finale. So good stuff. And then you have Ryder Helfrich strikes out swinging to end the inning. So right off the bat, it's 3-2. Arkansas takes a little bit of a punch in that first inning, but then they punch right back. I mentioned the solo home run that Ben Bybee gives up in the second inning, and it was Wyatt Hensler who, him and Jace Laviolette are number 2 and number 3 in the A&M lineup. Those two spots contributed to like basically half, maybe even more, of the damage that A&M did in terms of runs against this Arkansas lineup. And then the Hawks kind of got diced up in the second inning by Texas A&M starter Justin Lampkin, who, by the way, their starting rotation, which led the SEC in innings overall between their 3 starters. Justin Lampkin had the best numbers on paper. Ryan Prager, the guy that Arkansas faced last night, of course, was coming into this the SEC pitcher of the year. But Justin Lampkin had kind of been their guy, and he got it going in that second inning a little bit. And you started to think, okay, is A&M finally going to get some type of length out of a starter here in this series? The answer ended up being no. Bybee issued a 2-out walk in the third inning. That should have been a strikeout, ends up getting a strikeout to end the game. So that's where he started to really find a groove. That's when he got the first 0 of the day for that A&M offense. Did a really good job settling in. Again, calming this game down and giving Arkansas a chance. Ended up giving the run. At this point, it's still a 4-2 game, but you could tell Arkansas was kind of right there. And that feeling felt even more in the bottom of the third whenever Vahiva Loy gets a slider right down the middle, and that's where he hit his 15th home run of the year, 448 feet. And then we go to the fourth inning. Ben Bybee ends up giving up a 1-out single to Keel, the leadoff guy. And so instead of having his second trip through the lineup, Dave Van Horn makes the move to go to Gabe Gekckle. Wound up being the only arm Arkansas would need in this game. Of course, Gabe Gekckle, you all know, making his first relief appearance of the year, had been kind of demoted from that starting rotation. Thought that Arkansas might piggyback him with Wood. They wound up going Bybee to kind of bridge the gap between them. So it was an interesting spot that Gabe Gekckle, of course, used to starting games, that his first relief appearance isn't just coming in to pitch the second inning. He's coming in with a runner on first and 1 out. He wound up getting, I believe it was what was his first out? I believe he ended up giving up a base hit to Jace Laviolette. Then he ends up getting a fly out, and then he ends up picking a guy off to end the inning. They had a runner on third base after the base hit, and so there's still a little bit of trouble going on. Ends up picking the guy off, which I felt like was a big moment in that game because, again, Gabe Gekckle, things have not gone well for him. I thought it was really important for him to come in, do his job, leave out of there. Still a 4-3 game. Arkansas is still in it. And then JT, Justin Thomas Jr., ends up giving Arkansas the lead in the bottom of the fourth inning. Actually, that's a lie. He ended up tying the game in the bottom of the fourth inning with his first of 2 home runs today. They were almost the exact same swing on a slider, kind of down in the zone, just pulls it to the gap in left center field. I think the one he hit later in this game actually went further. But that was an important one again. Arkansas is just kind of chipping away, and now it's 4-4. Their pitchers are doing a good job putting up zeros. Gekckle ends up coming back in the 5th inning. And what did he do in the 5th inning? Gets a ground out, issues a walk, ends up giving up a base hit. So he's still kind of like working around some damage, then gets a punch out and a ground out. I remember, and honestly, it makes sense. Like the vibe in the stadium, like you could tell everyone was kind of like wondering, do we depend on this guy? Like, is this the Gekckle from last year? Is this the starter Gekckle? By the end of the outing, you look up and you're like, oh, wow, dude really kind of pitched his ass off. It didn't necessarily feel like that in the moment. There was still a very tense vibe there. It's a 4-4 game. Both teams are really battling. Both teams, I got to be honest, just feel pretty evenly matched. Like Arkansas wound up pulling ahead and winning in this game too. And then A&M kind of ended up pulling ahead and winning game 3. Really, all 3 games were pretty nip and tuck for most of the game until it kind of got blown open there. But it was the bottom of the fifth where Arkansas wound up getting 6 runs to really break this thing open, break the tie. It was Vahiva Aloy, first pitch of the inning, rips a base hit to right center field, just a really good opposite field swing. Carson Bowles follows very next pitch, base hit through the left side, and now the Hogs are kind of off and running a little bit. By the way, A&M in the 4th inning had taken their starter out and gone to Rudis, the right-handed guy that's like a senior for them, one of their top remaining arms left. And so, again, that starter Lampkin ended up only going 4 innings, didn't end up getting much. And he ended up being, I think it was the reliever. Or I guess the reliever came in after he gave up the home run to Justin Thomas. Sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place here. It was a lot going on today. But again, we're back to Arkansas's bottom of the 5th inning when they break things open. Carson Bowles has the base hit. And so you have runners on first and second. And again, this is all coming against the A&M bullpen. And then you have Kahio Aloy rips a base hit up the middle to center field. He had a maybe multiple hits in this game, but he's had a lot of hits this year. Kind of through the shift, like they'll move the shortstop deep in the hole over there. And then the second baseman kind of behind the bag at second base. He's had a lot of base hits, Kahio has, like right where a shortstop normally would be playing. But, hit them where they ain't. That's the name of the game. Ends up Logan Maxwell comes in to pinch hit for Rocco Pepe here, gets hit by a pitch. So not necessarily ideal to have the guy who's nursing a hamstring injury come in, get hit by a pitch. Reese Robinette comes in and pinch runs for him. And then Brent Iredale with the bases loaded gets kind of the swing that I feel like he needed to really unlock this little slump that he had been going through, rips a double down the left field line, ends up scoring 2 runs on the play. I guess that gives him his 3rd RBI of the day. Ryder Helfrich ends up striking out swinging. Cam Kojal gets an RBI ground out, and then Justin Thomas hits his 2-run home run again, almost exactly like his swing in I guess it was 1 inning earlier where he had his big one. And from there, Arkansas A&M ends up getting a run on a solo home run against Gekckle. Arkansas ends up getting their run. Let's see, that would have come in the 8th inning. You had a Justin Thomas walk, a Charles Davalon base hit to right field, and then a Vahiva Aloy RBI ground out provided the 11th Arkansas run. But that was kind of it. I mean, all the action kind of took place there in the middle. And Gabe Gekckle, again, ends up going, we'll pull up his final line again, 5 2/3, 4 innings, 1 run, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. So, guys, I want to talk about this for a second. That line that I just showed you, if Gabe Gekckle had simply started last week's game and given Arkansas that line, he would have started this game most likely. Like, we would have been like, okay, yeah, he's fine. That is a very solid line for a starting pitcher on a Saturday night in the SEC. Like, that's like a very typical Game 2 SEC starter line. Something that, like, Arkansas has been kind of begging Gabe Gekckle to give them. He's able to do it out of the bullpen. I don't, is it just simply a mental battle there of, like, psyching himself up? Maybe there's something with the pregame routine. I really don't know. Because I'll be honest with you. You guys have been listening all year. You know that I'm not lying here. I've always kind of wondered, I'm like, why do people think it's going to be that simple? You just move him to the bullpen and then he's going to be great. It's one thing that if you move him to the bullpen, it's a completely different role, like starting and closing, like what Matt Cronin was doing for Arkansas. Yeah, that's a completely different skill set than what Blaine Knight was doing, eating up innings. And so maybe if Gekckle was one of those guys that kind of just needed the adrenaline, but he ends up throwing 5 2/3. He ends up throwing 96 pitches in this game. Like, that's pretty much the exact task you give a starting pitcher, and he showed he can do it. Maybe he just can't do it at the start of the game. I really don't know. We actually see stuff like this happen in college baseball a lot, where guys just kind of thrive as multi-inning closers, and sometimes that could be as many as 5-6 innings. I mean, he pretty much gave Arkansas 6 innings today. I don't know what that is. I don't know what this means for Gabe Gekckle moving forward. Like, I guess you just run it back in this same thing. Maybe you do the whole thing where you kind of build Wood up, which, by the way, Gage Wood, I'm sure I kind of glossed over his outing. Not great stuff. I mean, he threw 20 pitches, 17 fastballs. You could tell he was shaking off some rust there. I was encouraged by the velocity. I understand he's got to do more, and he knows that. Like, Gage Wood's not an idiot. He knows he's going to have to land those breaking pitches. He's going to have to land that changeup. He's going to have to mix speeds against these teams if he's going to face them 2 and 3 times. And he's got to locate pitches, ultimately. It all comes down to execution, and you can't afford to not execute against A&M. Pretty much any time that happened with any pitcher all weekend, they got hurt for it. Gage Wood got hurt for it. But I do think it's good to see him still throwing hard. Like, That's the thing you always worry about is like, oh, how's the stuff going to look? The stuff is still there. And I know the fastball got hit because he left it over the heart of the plate a couple times, but I was actually encouraged by that. And I'm just looking forward to seeing him kind of get back in the swing of things. There's not really much you can take from this outing. A&M did a really good job of just kind of being ready for it, being on time for the heater, and taking advantage of a couple of mistakes. And that's really all it took. And so, again, I don't know what to really make of his role moving forward. I assume you just kind of run it back next weekend in Florida. You just kind of run it back, maybe give him 2 innings, 2, 3, maybe you can get up to 30, 40 pitches, and then just kind of build from there. And then I don't know how it's going to work with Bybee, who I thought did a really good job. Goes 3 innings, gives up the 1 run. Arkansas's got kind of all these different arms they can do unique things with. It's just going to be fascinating to see what they land on here in the coming weeks as Gage Wood continues to build up. But again, I thought it was a really important win for Arkansas. Overall, just like a pretty well-rounded performance overall. You didn't get like a good start on the mound, but you also didn't really expect to. Even if Gage would have gone out there and shoved, was probably only going to give you about 3 outs. Bullpen did a really good job of piecing things together, which we've seen time and time again. Regardless of what Arkansas starters do, the bullpen has done a pretty good job of piecing things together. That wasn't necessarily the case in Game 3, Game 2 of today, Game 3 of the series. Let's pull up that box score real quick, and then we'll jump right into it. Arkansas goes 9 of 35 at the plate. What is that? A 257 average. I think a thing that I keep noticing is that Arkansas only draws 2 walks in this game. A&M averages about 2 walks on the year per 9 innings. They issued 2 walks in Game 2 of the series, 2 walks in Game 3, and I believe it was 2 walks in Game 1. May have been 3. Maybe if it was 2, if it was either 2 or 3 for sure. Kind of forced Arkansas to earn everything they got, and that's how you end up with 9 hits and only 2 runs. So a little bit of a disappointing close to the series for the Bats, and really just didn't string a ton together. I didn't come away like depressed about it, but A&M's bullpen did a really good job. They had this one kid. Let me make sure I'm getting his name right. I believe it's not Zach Jackson. It's something Jackson. Number 44 ends up giving A&M 3 2/3, only allows 2 hits, 0 walks, and strikes out 5. He also came back after the delay. And we'll get into some of the specifics in a little bit. Aiden Jimenez came into the mound, came into pitch for Arkansas, gives them a couple innings. Then the lightning delay happens. Arkansas comes back with Cole Gibbler. Wound up being a huge crossroads in the game. Arkansas ends up giving up 6 more runs. A&M came back with, what was that dude's name? Something Jackson. It was like Zach Jackson maybe or something like that. But anyways, Jackson, number 44, was shoving, throwing like 96, 97. Came back after the lightning delay. Wasn't throwing quite as hard, but kept Arkansas off balance, got A&M deep into the game. I believe it was in the 9th inning where they wound up making a move. I feel like the story of this series, when we look back at it big picture, is you had Weston Moss yesterday really shut Arkansas down, throws 5 innings out of the bullpen. Wasn't quite to that level with Jackson in this game, but he goes 3 2/3. Really just when the series was on the line, A&M had pitchers step up and execute. Arkansas never really got that. I mean, Gabe Gekckle did a really good job of giving Arkansas a chance. He got Arkansas their 1 win in this series. And Ben Bybee, I would say, also came in and did his job and executed. I thought Landon Beidelshees was pretty fine for Arkansas. Ends up going 4 innings, allowed just the 1 run. Charles Davalon, by the way, saves him. I'm kind of speeding through. I'm kind of bouncing all around this recap here. Charles Davalon, it was in his 4th inning of work, the final pitch that Landon Beidelshees throws, base hit to left field. Charles Davalon guns down a run at the plate. Was the guy actually out? I don't know. I didn't get to see a replay. They didn't show one. But my good buddy Curtis Wilkerson tells me he thinks the guy may have beat it, may have beat the tag there. I'll let you guys decide. But Beidelshees, I thought, competed for Arkansas, only allows the 1 run. And I think the story of his season is just kind of eats innings, gives Arkansas a chance. And he only ate 4 innings in this game. But it is worth noting, which, by the way, DVH was asked about and he was not happy about, Landon Beidelshees pitching. He threw 82 pitches on Sunday in Athens, comes back and throws on Friday. And I don't know, what did he finish with pitch count wise? Finishes with 73 pitches through 4 innings. And so could they have maybe squeezed out 1 more inning out of him? Maybe, but he was starting to lose it a little bit. Issued his only 2 walks in the game in that 4th inning of work. Also allowed 1 of his 3 hits, which nearly cost him a run. But I thought he did a pretty good job for the most part. You could tell he was fading a little bit. And so it'd be nice to get him back on semi-normal schedule, semi-normal rest next week. We'll see if he looks better, but I thought he was fine. Again, gave Arkansas a chance. nobody that really came in afterwards really shut that door and gave Arkansas the stability they needed, the stability that they got from their bullpen in the first game today. And again, Aiden Jimenez, again, I'm bouncing all the way through this whole little recap here, but the game basically came down to Jace Laviolette provided the one run for A&M in the top of the first inning with a solo home run against Landon Beidelshees, wound up putting A&M up 3-2 or 3-1 later in the, I guess it would have been the fifth inning against Aiden Jimenez. One of the first hitters that he faced as well. Actually, I believe it was Aiden Jimenez gets 2 quick outs, ends up giving a base hit to the leadoff guy Keel, and then Laviolette just goes the other way with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball on the outer edge. Really wasn't that bad of a pitch from Aiden Jimenez, but as everyone else concluded, I think we all had the same thought in our brain after we saw it go out. Just stop pitching to this guy, which Arkansas effectively did, by the way. And that was ultimately like that put A&M up 3-1. Arkansas ended up getting a run back there. How did Arkansas get that run? Let me make sure I'm not tripping here. Arkansas ends up getting that run back on a line out to left field. Okay, and I thought that was actually a big moment in the game too. So you have the 2-run home run in the top of the fifth. In the bottom of the fifth, A&M starter Patton, who, by the way, gave A&M probably their best start. What did he finish with strikeout-wise? He goes 4 1/3, gives up 7 hits, but only 2 runs, struck out 7 Razorback hitters and only walked 1, threw 96 pitches for A&M in 4 1/3. I thought a big moment in the game was when A&M went to Jackson, because it kind of calmed down that inning as well. Arkansas comes down the bottom of the fifth. Charles Davalon, great at-bat, 3-2 count, singles up the middle. Vahiva Aloy hits a ball. I think it was 109, 110 off the bat. They flashed that velo up on the scoreboard. Hits a double to left field, puts runners on second and third, and Logan Maxwell gets a 1-0 pitch. Hit the ball even harder than Vahiva hit his double, hits it to left field, like to the warning track. That wound up bringing a run in. At this point, again, guys, it's 3-2 in the fifth inning. Arkansas still got a runner in scoring position, just 1 out, and the 1 out was a very hard line out. That's when A&M went to Jackson, and he ends up getting Kahio Aloy to line one 107 miles an hour into the shortstop's glove. The ball basically caught him. So what could have been a game-tying single to left field ends up being a line out, and then Cam Kozel strikes out. Arkansas basically didn't even get close to scoring another run throughout that. Jackson really held him down, and that's kind of where the game ended. Again, Aiden Jimenez comes back out. What did he came back and threw the sixth inning, ends up getting basically a 3-up, 3-down inning, although there was an error on Kozel, just had a line drive that just couldn't snag. He had to kind of jump for it, wound up slapping an E on his chest there. Arkansas comes back, gets shoved it right up them. In the bottom of the sixth inning, Iredale strikeout, Pepe strikeout, Ryder Helfrich flies out, and that's when the lightning delay happened. And again, at that point in the game, it was 3-2. Arkansas still kind of hanging in there, but they pretty much had nothing left. Once they came back from the lightning delay, that was all she wrote. Arkansas goes to Cole Gibbler, and I got to be honest, as the lead commander of Gibbler Island, it was not a good day for Arkansas's young left-handed promising pitchers. Cole Gibbler faces 2 batters, gives up a home run to the third baseman Arroyo, the 8-hole, and then gives up a double off the wall in left field to the 9-hole outfielder who's hitting like 210 on the year. That was all she wrote. Then Arkansas goes to Carson Wiggins, ends up fielding a ground ball back, a bunt back to him, intentionally walks Jace Laviolette, ends up getting up 1-2 on Hensler. And again, at this point, it's still, I guess, 4-2 after the home run. Arkansas still kind of in the game, got Wiggins on the mound. You still feel like, hey, if you can just get out of this inning and calm it down, get back in the dugout, we'll have a chance. He ends up giving up a line out, which makes it a 5-2 game. They intentionally walked Sorrell after a wild pitch moved Laviolette up. And then Bear Harrison, the catcher, who Arkansas did a really good job pitching to all weekend, just kind of muscled a base hit to shallow right center field. Wound up providing the 6th run of the game for A&M. And again, it wasn't over at that point, but you could kind of feel it slipping away for Arkansas. They go 3-up, 3-down in the 7th inning. You come back in the 8th. And I believe, let's see, Christian Fouch came in the 8th inning and actually did a really good job. Ends up getting a pop out and 2 strikeouts. They tried to get another inning out of Fouch in the 9th. And at this point, again, Arkansas had kind of, you'd used Jimenez, you had used Gibbler, you had used Wiggins, you had pitched Fouch, who had already pitched, and we don't really see Fouch go 2-3 innings much. And it wound up, he ended up not being able to get him through the 9th inning. You end up going to Colin Fisher, who faced one hitter, gives up a double to right field to Caden Sorrell. So again, Arkansas's young left-handed pitchers, Fisher and Gibbler, who are trying to fill that role for Parker Coyle, both, they faced 3 hitters combined, give up 2 doubles and a home run. Not great. Arkansas would certainly like to have Parker Coyle back. Seems like he will be back sooner than later. So it's like not the end of the world. Like you'll have that veteran left-hander in the bullpen. Hell, you might move some things around and have Landon Beidelshe's in that bullpen. But it just sucks that you had kind of this time period where we felt like that was going to be Cole Gibbler's ascension into a real weekend role. And it just didn't happen for him today. I thought he pitched pretty well against Georgia last week, despite giving up the solo home run that ended up being the series decider. And he just didn't have it today, and it sucks. And so kind of leaves Arkansas with a lot of questions to ask on their pitching staff overall. I mean, you don't get a great outing out of Zach Root, which, you know, anytime that happens, Arkansas is going to struggle to win a series. You get Aiden Jimenez, finally shows some mortality, finally gives up a run. I guess it had been like over a month since he had given up a run, gives up a 2-run home run to one of the best hitters in the country. Picked just a tough time to have both of those things happen. Not a great outing from Wiggins either. Arkansas just kind of didn't do enough at the plate to really force A&M, who doesn't have a super deep bullpen, but they allowed 2 of their better bullpen arms to kind of win them 2 games. And Arkansas couldn't get those outings on the other end. The only time they did was Gabe Gekckle, and that happened to be the one time Arkansas won. And so disappointing to see Arkansas's arms, I guess, not rise to the occasion. I think when we have these big picture conversations about where this team is at, I assume a lot of you guys' questions are going to come on that pitching staff, and will they be able to step up? Offensively, I think it's fair to also be a little bit disappointed. A&M came into this week kind of middle of the pack in most SEC pitching categories, and I'm not saying they shut Arkansas down or anything like that. I think Arkansas finished the weekend with damn near 30 hits or something like that. But it was just disappointing to see them kind of get shut down in the key moments, which, again, when you're at home, the place you've been eliminated the last 2 postseasons, you know, it just kind of gives fans that weird feeling. Ultimately, I think this team is, you know, I still think this Razorback team we're seeing has a very high ceiling. I think they're going to play better baseball down the stretch. But it's just disappointing to see them kind of go through this little rut in the midseason. And again, there's no real shame in losing a series to Texas A&M. They are a good baseball team. Like, they were ranked highly this preseason for a reason. They've got a lot of talent, and they've been playing with their backs up against the wall the last couple of weeks, which I think has really brought out clearly a good side in them. I think that's got to be the message that you're pushing. You know, if you're the Arkansas coaching staff, is like, hey, these guys have seen some adversity at A&M. They got beat up on early. They bounced back from it and banded together and have started to play some really good baseball. Arkansas, that's kind of going to be the challenge they have here moving forward. And also, Arkansas doesn't have too much time to feel sorry for themselves. Got some really tough series coming down the chute. The starting which a Florida team that on paper might not look that great, kind of similar to A&M. Started the season preseason, you know, all world, everything, top 5 everywhere. It's been really disappointing for them. They're going to be playing with their backs up against the wall. And so we'll see how Arkansas responds and moves forward from here. Kind of sucks that Arkansas has 2 midweek games this week. Like, this team probably could use a break. So we'll see how how that affects them, if they're able to kind of shake it off. Maybe playing 2 games this week in the midweek will help them, but we'll see. And like I said, guys, we're going to continue to have as much coverage as possible on the Arkansas Razorbacks in this baseball season. As disappointing as it is, don't jump off the ship yet. Don't abandon ship just yet. At least wait until we get closer to the postseason. And if you still don't like what you're seeing, it'll be harder for me to talk you off the ledge. But this Arkansas Razorback baseball team, man, they've got a lot of stuff in front of them, a lot of opportunities to shut up all the doubt surrounding them right now. And I got to say, there is a lot of doubt surrounding this Razorback baseball team. They are not passing the sniff test just yet. I'm not wavering. I really am not. Like, I don't know if that's coming across in this video. I don't know how depressed I sound. I'm really not wavering in my belief of what this team can accomplish. It's just disappointing to see them kind of fall short in this type of setting against a team that might be there in the end. And I think this series is a little bit more concerning than the Georgia series, simply because it happened at home, and simply because I don't think we really got a ton of answers to some key questions. I mean, there's still a lot to figure out with the starting rotation. I don't know if that's making moves or if that's just guys pitching better. And so we'll see how they bounce back from here. I'm doing a bad job of like trying to end of series process while I'm deliriously tired right now after a really long day. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to let you guys get to sleep and stop listening to me yap. But like I said, so tomorrow is Saturday. We've got, or I guess today is when a lot of you guys will be listening to this. We've got the spring football game. And so we're going to have some coverage of that. Hopefully they're able to do it outside, because really, I committed. I'm not going in that indoor facility. Hope they get in the stadium. Hope the weather holds up a little bit. So we're going to have some coverage of that. So I don't know if I'm going to do anything baseball related tomorrow. Maybe I'm going to give you guys a day to sit on it and think on it a little bit. But I'm almost certainly going to be doing some type of live stream Q&A, reassessment of the weekend, assessment of a lot of different things. Talking about the weekend, talking about where this Razorback baseball team is at. So if you didn't feel like you got enough real analysis on this podcast as we're recapping a chaotic day of games, we will be back at some point this weekend. It's most likely going to be Sunday afternoon. So be on the lookout for that, and bring your questions, bring everything, bring your positive vibes, your negative vibes, whatever you're feeling. We want to talk through it here on the Baumbastic Podcast. It's going to be a little bit of a therapy session to see where we're at with the fan base, because I imagine a lot of you are starting to lose some hope in this. Your faith is starting to waver in the pig, and I can sense it. And so hopefully we'll all feel better after this weekend. And really, it's just up for this Razorback baseball team to get back on that horse, start winning some baseball games. So that'll do it for today's edition of the Baumbastic Podcast. A little bit of a somber one. I promise to have better vibes on Sunday, and I will see you guys then to talk some Razorback baseball.